Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Temperance Lancecouncil, titled My Restraining Order Won't Do. And if we switch over to here, we have the track on Reverb Nation. It's been a while since I checked in on Reverb Nation. Good to see it's doing well. We're going to listen through this track from start to finish, and we have what we think. You're going to hear what we think. We've got the lyrics down here as well. Let's go.
Country girls, we don't play that. Dear, get out of our way.
Okay, so I'm liking the work on the guitar and piano so far, and we've got a sort of seamless. We've got a nice flow with the vocals, taking our time with instantiating them. I like how we resolved things with that bass line coming in with that organ there harmonically. It was really sweet. I mean, it's clearly some technical prowess on different instruments.
And I don't really care. I just know one thing, Bubba. You better go somewhere. You can't live here rent free, putting your demons on me. All I know is one thing. Stop terrorizing me, and if my restraining order won't do, I'm calling the pokey on you. If my restraining...
Ba-bum. You know, I like the groove of the drums with the way that she's phrasing the lines in that chorus. Like,
I just try to help you.
and the banjo coming in nice. It's nice that we're filling that space in as a sub-layer there. Often you will have things completely cut out and you'll just have the vocals, but here we've decided to add a little bit sort of more sort of coloration in there.
Make you a better man. I've shown you a good life. Your American Express left behind my high roller friends out of your jealousness, and if my restraining order won't do, calling the pokey on you. If my restraining order won't do.
Again, I love that fiddle as well. The fiddle's a fantastic layer to add on top, like musically in the way that it's been arranged and composed. I can tell what we're trying to do here, and it's great. I like what the bass is doing. I can hear that bass, and that bass at the moment is kind of flattening the sound of the drums. The drums, from my perception, were louder than the bass was, and were were louder before the bass came in. So I assume that that's just a thing with the leveling or something like that. Doesn't mean it's a bad song. It's just from like a studio perspective. That's the only thing so far. Everything else is sounding good.
When I saw them red flags, should have run for the hills.
Kind of a bluesy kind of perspective, like the 12 bar kind of vibe.
No peace is gonna be still enough for my restraining order.
Yeah. Because the fiddle melody is working with an eighth note groove that's working well with what Temperance is doing with her vocals. What I like about this is that we just had space. It's something that we would have had if we didn't have the banjo and the pauses within those two previous verse stanzas. It was an interesting way of phrasing this, you know, I know we're trying to place the emphasis on that. It was a nice contrast to the pickup, the double time pace of that chorus section.
Hey, Mr. Pokey, come get this man.
And like, I like the call and response again between those guitar parts and Temperance. They're great, you know. Nice chemistry between the different instrumentalists.
Roll out the SWAT team. I've done all I can. And if my restraining order won't do, I'm calling the pokey on you. If my restraining
I would say this sort of sounds like, you know, I understand, you know, this track here. Yeah, apparently her song "My Restraining Order Won't Do" placed 26th in the country category at the 2022 Opening Act Hollywood Bowl music competition. You know, which is great. It's a good effort. So, you know, clearly we're comfortable and we're writing music that people enjoy, which is good. If we go back to a little bit, we'll go back to here.
I said in my restraining Hey, Mr. Pokey, come get this man.
So this is basically about someone who's had a terrible time with another person and needs to take them away from the police, right? Yeah? It's easy to hear how the vocals work with the lyrics and how the title works with the lyrics. Yeah, that's good.
Damn demons wanna fight me, trying to slip me away. I'm just trying to stay alive and live another day. Hey, Mr. Smokey. Hey, Mr. Pokey. Roll out the SWAT team. Neighbors watching on a make a scene. You better take him away. You better take him away. He stole every dime I had. I said, take him away. I wrote up all the bad checks. You better take him away. The DA was after me. I said, take him away. Curse the night
The piano work is phenomenal. Like, the instrumental backing behind it is great. It's charming. It's nice and clear. Like, the EQing and everything else is fantastic. You know, again, it's just when that bass comes in those hooks, it's a little bit sort of like too much. But everything else is sounding nice and fresh.
I met you. You better take him away.
And that slide guitar is a nice touch there. It's that country vibe.
I said, take him away. Country girls don't play that. You better take him away. Country girls don't play that. You better take him away. You better take him away. You better take him away. Country girls don't play that. I said, take him away. Country girls, we don't play that. Take him away.
Okay. I mean, that's you know, that is Temperance Lancecouncil's My Restraining Order Won't Do. And this is my conclusion of this review. You know, what do I think it's about? I mean, after reading the lyrics through, I think this is about someone who has gone, you know, like putting their demons in me. You know, like, you know, this person's affecting like Temperance Lancecouncil incredibly badly. It's not a good time at all, and they're really just trying to sort of like communicate that through the song, whether it's something they've actually gone through or something that like they're narrating just as like a kind of a concept. Because a lot of people talk about sort of people going through like difficult relationships and stuff like that and breakups. But either way, I think that it is a well-written track. I think that the story explains more as we go along. I like that we eventually do get to the point where the police come, because that's development thematically. I think that a lot of people will be able to relate to needing that space from someone who's a bit toxic in their life, and I think that it'll find an audience for that part of things. Anyways, the vocal performance was good. We hit the notes I think that we needed to. We have good vocal technique. We did show a little bit of ornamentation there, but I think we were more sort of aiming for the telling of the story rather than sort of expressing it overly with like the technical side of things. Like, we didn't do like huge vibrato passages or anything like that. There were little bits like with the say a part where we kind of played around with legato parts going up and down really voicing those vowels like that. But aside from that, we think things reasonably minimalist from a vocal perspective. It, you know, it was good. You know, it sounded like one person with a band trying to tell their story over the mic, and that's, I guess, what we were looking for with this track. It would be weird if we had lots of people involved singing different parts musically, because it would sound like a lot of people had issues with the same person. The theme behind it, it had a nice groove to it and a hook, lots of movement there. I think that kind of bluesy thing where it goes up to the fourth or something and then back to the root was cool. And then we had the kind of 12-bar blues break with the banjo behind it in the space and telling a story and the call and response there. That constant change keeps things engaging. And then we kind of, it was more through composed than anything like that, I suppose. Although no, it was through composed. It was more about the length was the story filling out, as opposed to trying to stick to a traditional verse, chorus, interlude perspective, especially in a 5-minute track here, you know. We didn't necessarily feel the need to sort of like shorten it to fit the 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, but I think that, you know, there wasn't any filler in this track. I think if we'd gone past 5 minutes, I wouldn't have known why that was. I think when we got down past the part, you know, dun dun dun, you can better take him away. Country girls who don't play that, take him away. I mean, it makes sense. We find a conclusion there thematically, and the story does take that 5 minutes. It was nice to hear, you know, the guitars, the drums, the bass, the fiddles, the banjos, the pianos, the keys. There was a lot going on in this arrangement. I never felt as if they were interrupting each other or kind of a hindrance. Lots of interesting sort of bluesy major minor chord triads and sort of lead ideas there. Consistent groove on the drums has sort of like supported the bass line there. I think that we had, again, the gradual development of those fiddles and banjos coming in as well. We didn't try and shove everything in the listener's face at the start, which I think was smart. I like the different rhythms that the different instruments had there. I know I was talking before about the drums and the bass and stuff like that, and how the bass was quite poignant and present in the mix. It had a great groove to it that did well with like the kicks and snares of the kit. And I think if the bass had just been a little bit lower in the mix, it would have been basically exactly where we needed it, you know. But yeah, nice accent and dynamic range, the performance of the pianos and the organs and everything like that. I like the sub-layering that was done occasionally to sort of like balance that out and make that worthwhile. And, you know, ultimately, I think that we, you know, there's things to appreciate within this track. So if we look at the production and performance, you know, recording, mixing, and mastering, I did like the tone of the vocals, how they were recorded. There's a bit of compression applied, I think, just to get them to sit at a similar dynamic range the entire time. I like the fact that there were different sort of levels and sub-levels of the different instruments involved in the arrangement, and that the vocals managed to sit in there nicely for the most part. Just for the final time today, because I know I've said it a few times. Again, the bass was a little bit risen in the mix and could have been down like a little bit, but aside from that, just to sort of balance out with the drums, because again, the drums felt like they were being smothered in some of those hook sections. Again, it's not a criticism of the song, it's just that one thing that could be changed if we were to do like an EP or an album release or something like that. You know, there's definitely potential within this track from like a musicality and arrangement and compositional perspective. And I think that, you know, if Temperance Lancecouncil can continue to find things that she wants to talk about like this that other people can relate to, I'm sure she'll find an audience for it. But yeah, the guitar lines, the lead parts and the slides and everything, as well as those different drum parts, as well as everything like that, were well filtered and EQ'd, and they had their own niche in the frequency spectrum. In the stereo field as well, it was nice and wide in the stereo field, which was cool. So, you know, lots to enjoy and appreciate. And again, there was that call and response that I talked about, where like even if some parts were louder than others, overall we did go down with a dynamic range. You know, it wasn't overwhelming the entire time. That said, I think that the bus compression limiting on the master chain it wasn't too much, but it was getting there. Like when things hit, they hit hard, man. And I think it's just something. Yeah, I'm glad that we had the limiting compression the way it was, because we couldn't have gotten away with more sort of like compressing of the actual master chain than that. But I understand it's also important to try and get a loud track, especially if your track's too quiet, you're screwed, right? It can be kind of rough, but didn't have that issue with Temperance Lancecouncil. Because this is effectively my review of my Restaining Order Won't Do. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out Temperance Lancecouncil's various social medias and the Reverb Nation page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.